Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Taylor Jones, and do you have any idea what time it is? Hey, what's up, guys? This is yours truly, Taylor Jones, and I'd like to say welcome back to my YouTube channel, TC Jones Edits, as well as my series, Cold Man's Winter. And yes, it's time for episode number 13. And for this episode, I would like to talk about guilt. But for those that didn't watch my last episode, which is the St. Patrick special, well, make sure you stop by and click on the link that will be in the description bar down below. But with all that being said, let's get down to the real nitty gritty. I'm here to talk about guilt and get this out the way, so pay attention. Now, when it comes to dealing with guilt, you know, a lot of people can do some dumb things and some wild things. They take it out on everybody. They take it out on themselves. They take it out on a lot of small problems turn to big deals. And sorry guys, I feel like I haven't set up my phone because my phone is nearly dying, so that's the problem. But don't judge me. See, that's one example of being guilty because you're not prepared, you're not thinking straight. Also, when it comes to being guilty, you have to realize that, well, when you're guilty, you feel less of a man, less of a woman. You get left out, you get fussed upon, you get your butt kicked on a daily by bullies or gangs, and you don't have problems with them. You end up with a relationship going downhill, that you're getting dumped. Even your parents kick you out the house, that type of guilt, and you blame this all on the devil. No, you blame it on the devil too many times. You got to start blaming yourself more, because the devil, he didn't make you do it. You did it to yourself. And when it came to one random guy by the name of Gerald Shivers, he was like so much a pain in the neck. And I see that when it comes to being a pain in the neck, it was so much a hassle that everybody didn't even hang out with him. They didn't kick it with him. They didn't do anything. And his parents, they were like so much of jerks. And mostly his father. He really wanted his son to be a man, even when it means to teach him how to fight. And he always like, man, get the heck up. Negroes don't quit. You better recognize. And that's why a lot of Negroes, a lot of people, they easily take Gerald out, like knock him out. Some of them even robbed him for his money. So his father, he's going too tough on him. Tough love always gets the best of Gerald. And even when he's looked upon, nobody understands how serious he's trying to live his life. They just laugh at him, humiliated him, and he's guilty. And even his teachers, they expect better from him. But the principal in his school, he always clowns him, makes him feel weak, to the fact that he don't even believe anything. He always makes Gerald look like the bad guy, the victim, the target. A bullet to Gerald's heart on a daily basis. And all that took place, especially after his auntie and uncle were separated. And what does that mean? Like when his auntie Cheryl, when she was around, he always relies on her because his mom and dad, Gerald's mom and dad, don't mean a hill of beans to him. They just jerks, like I said. And whenever he spends time with his auntie Cheryl, she makes him feel like a son. And she actually was a Arizona type girl, born and raised in Phoenix, and she actually not again. She actually made moves. She always wanted to have her blogging channel. She always, like, based on listening to radios, and this is like before the Wendy Williams thing. She made it clear that she was going to keep it real about some topics, some street cred, and she always loved hip hop music, so she's like a diehard fan. And matter of fact, her favorite artist was none other than Lil C's. Lil C's from Junior Mafia. Big ups to him. And there was one song that got to her attention, and it also influenced Gerald to learn a lesson about life, especially when there was a song called back in between 98 to 2000, 98, 99. Lil C's had a solo album, and there was one song that got to Gerald's attention that every day he remembers the chorus, because it happened to be one of his favorite songs from Lil C's when they made a music video based on them, but it was inspired by Armageddon. And Johnny Bristol, I don't know the name of that MC who did the first rap verse, and Lil Kim in the third verse. They had to find a way to stop the asteroids from causing complete chaos or Armageddon, the end of the world type stuff, to planet Earth. And the chorus was like, you don't want to play around, you don't want to play around, you don't want to play around with me. Know what? I'll crush you. That's one song that put Gerald to thinking. But he was so in love with that song, he actually kept it in his head. But in the dirty version, the chorus was, I'll kill you. Like, whenever he feels down in life, he always sings that part. You don't want to play around, the part of I'll crush you. Referring to the past, his demons, his bullies, and his father figure, his mother. Because back, let's just say that in 2007, when Gerald was like, let's say he was turning 14 and he was just about to get ready for high school, it happened. While he was visiting his auntie, Aunt Cheryl, his uncle Ron, he also was from Phoenix, but he had a life on his own. He spotted Gerald coming, and let's just say that Ron was not pleased, and he told Gerald what happened. Some random goons just fight out of nowhere in front of Aunt Cheryl's house, and then bam, bullets flying, and they had a gunfight. Random goons. It was 3 versus 3. And bullets were flying through the window, and it hit her. And the dead body was still laying there. Yes, Aunt Cheryl's body was found dead inside the house, and Uncle Ron showed Gerald what happened. Gerald was so hurt. He didn't just cry. He was like frustrated. He was mad. about to throw a tantrum. But the police came. The police came and find out what happened. Uncle Ron, he told what happened, but let's just say that the cops actually found out that he was the one that killed Aunt Cheryl. What? No, that's just bull. And because of that, well, let's just say that Uncle Ron got arrested for accusations of killing Aunt Cheryl, and he got escorted in a police car. And for the other cops that was in there, he actually had to send Gerald back to his mom and dad's house. And that place was like, Aunt Cheryl's house was closed for right now. Bring the yellow tape. Then they had ambulance coming in to pick up the body. The police told what went down, and his mom and dad, Gerald's mom and dad, they were hurt about it. And the mom and dad, they argued that Uncle Ron shouldn't be trusted and he wasn't supposed to be with Aunt Cheryl in the first place. But, like I said, Uncle Ron did not do the crime. It was just a 3-on-3 random goons, and they actually spotted a woman inside the house. One of them accidentally pulled the trigger and hit her. To the fact that after Aunt Cheryl's passing and Ron got tried, he was found guilty by the corrupted justice system, as Gerald would later figure out. And the cops that were beyond this, like, some of them were corrupted. And Uncle Ron ended up with 15 years. What? That's bull. To the fact that after what went down, Gerald felt some type of way about those 3-on-3 goons that were fighting, and they were shooting shots that ended up getting Uncle Ron 15 years in jail. To the fact that he sung the dirty version, but instead the chorus is still clean, but instead of Crush, he was singing with all his might like a rock star. You don't want to play around. You don't want to play around. You don't want to play around with me. No, what? I'll kill you. Like, Gerald was hurt. But in high school, he became a rebel. A rebel who still can't fight. He's still getting hurt on a daily basis because of the bullies. But he found a way to keep it going. He kept moving. He kept growing up even though he was hurting. He was guilty because of how corrupted the police were to blame Uncle Ron for killing Aunt Cheryl. He was there the whole time. He ducked. And yes, there was a bully who was so popular in Gerald's school that everybody laughed at him. Everybody, even the prettiest girls. He felt so betrayed, he just started singing Lil C's all day, every day. And his parents, they didn't give a dang about his day. Like, nigga, what happened to you? That's the mom. See, I told your A-word that you need to start fighting like a man. Didn't I tell you? To get your mom. Yeah, cursing like a sailor, all that, blah, 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 blah. Mama ain't slick. Daddy ain't slick. It's like, Gerald should have known that he was a victim of kissing the world's butt or letting the world kick his butt based on negative influences around him. And my dad said it best. It always starts with the family. So, all of a sudden, freshman year went completely dark. Sophomore year, same thing. Every day he be singing the same song. Lil C's. Junior Mafia. The fact that he actually had to dig deeper. I mean, it's more than a Lil C's thing. He started listening to, let's say he started listening to the other members of Junior Mafia. Mostly Lil Kim and the Notorious B.I.G. He bumped hardcore when he was at home. His parents were out. It was kind of like they were out on a date. Even though they still were talking crap about Gerald. But then one day, one fatal day, Gerald's mother ended up murdered. It hit close to home. First, it was Aunt Cheryl. And Uncle Rob went to jail. And now his mother's murdered. And guess what? Let's just say it was the same three goons. The same three goons. To the fact that, oh no, not again. This time, the father, he started to get mad at Gerald, put his frustration on him. I mean, Gerald's been so guilty after all these years. I mean, it's like he need a wake-up call right now. Word up. You know what I'm saying? The fact that after hearing the entire album of Hardcore by Lil Kim, after his father actually beat him up, and not to mention, Junior year was around the corner. And Gerald's full of guilt. He didn't do jack, but it's still like, the bullies were still treating him like garbage on a daily basis. That one day, the principal asked him to come to his office. And out of nowhere, out of the principal's mouth, he suspended him. Suspended Gerald over nothing. And how many days? The entire month of suspension. But all of a sudden, one person in school like, you know what? I had enough of this mother freezing. Nonsense. This mother freezing nonsense. That's what he said. He liked, and he was a white kid. A white kid by the name of Lester Holmes. Lester had enough of Gerald feeling like crap. He decided he had to make friends with him. But the bully was like, if you dare, he spotted Lester. He's like, if you dare try to come to that jerk Gerald, I'm gonna kick your tail too. And Lester's like, well, I don't give a dang what you do. It's my life. And not to mention, after that, he stopped by Gerald's house, but his father was like, skedaddle, get the heck out of here. Gerald ain't got time for your weak games. But that's when Lester did the inevitable. Well, what if I was to tell... Oh, not again. I know. Taylor, you gotta adjust that. Just don't. Just don't judge me, please. I'm trying to charge my phone. That's why my phone holder is falling apart. I'm trying to continue where I left off, please. Okay, that's a bad start though, for real. But what if I were to tell you that the same three guys that killed your wife, Gerald's mother, was the same individuals that got Gerald's Aunt Cheryl killed and Ron falsely imprisoned? How did he know about this? He kept on hearing it like in his head. And he even had Lester had a newspaper about it. And he even told Gerald, like one day at high school, Gerald was told, one day you're going to have to stop being guilty for everything that went down in your life. You have to overcome your guilt. You got to fight back. You know what I'm saying? Word up. And which, like, let's just say that when the new year hit, it is January. Everybody is back from Christmas break. The father was pleased with Lester. And Lester actually helped Gerald overcome his guilt. To the fact that he even had a plan to put the police officers that locked up Ron, Uncle Ron, get him out because he found out who the actual individuals were. Remember, it was 3 versus 3. Goons fight, and they shot like trigger happy. The trigger happy Negroes hitting innocent bystanders to death. And the bullies, well, boy, one day the bullies, they're about to get back at Gerald. This time Lester was with him. Lester was like, listen, Gerald, you follow my lead. The bully tried to front and scare him. And even asked them, where's my lunch money? Lunch money? I don't know what you're talking about. Did he say anything about lunch money? No, that's not what I remember. Okay. That's how you want to play? Get up. Both of you. So they got up. Which one of y'all want to get hit first? Gerald had enough. After being guilty for so long, from his family to school, to the fact that the principal even suspended him for a month over nothing because he praised the cool kids, the jocks who were the bullies. Gerald's like, screw it. Take me. Okay. So the bully decided to just hit him. Hit Gerald where it hurts. But little did the bully know, he actually had his fist held by Lester. And so he was trying to hit Lester in the face, but Gerald kicked the bully in the back of his leg. Ah! And then boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And they went back and forth. Lester took some blows. Gerald took some blows. One bully down, and there were 2 more. Oh, heck no. It's all now. And yes, a tray was slapped. Lester grabbed a tray, slapped the dude with it. Bully number 2, he slapped him, and he was like, they were like a duo, a world wrestling tag team of teenagers, WWE tag team of teenagers. Down goes bully number 2. But bully number 3, he should have known better because, one, he had a knife. And he was about to cut one of them open. Cut him to death, like shank him, prison shank him. But instead, he didn't realize that there was milk on the floor, that he slipped. Whoa. That the knife was flying. Everybody backed up. And to keep one individual from getting killed over a knife, they let it fall. It hit the floor, but the bully number 3, he landed in a trash can. And everybody starting to clap for Gerald and Lester because they're seeing progress. Thanks to Lester, Gerald's getting the process. And he also got along with everybody else. I mean, Gerald was still getting his act together. To the fact that he was a genius. That things changed. He went to his first junior prom, but his father, he was still acting a fool. Over nothing. And for his father, he's more like Onyx, Freedro's star. He was mad like Freedro, mad like Sticky Fingers. Combined. But Gerald, he knew better. Like one day, he was about to go ahead to take a driver's test. And his father was wondering where he was going. Dad, I have to go to a driver's test. Oh, no, you ain't. Oh, yes, I am, Dad. Now, how many times must you make me look like a fool? You want to be a man? Oh, well, here's my chance to prove it. Move. And then his father started, like, pushing him down. Man, come on, get your tail up. Let's see if you're a man now, double crosser. Oh, okay. And not to mention, he took advice from Lester. When he have to deal with a family member who's abusive, he knew he had to fight back. Just like he did with the bullies. That the bullies no longer stepped to Lester nor Gerald. But Gerald, he put his dukes up. Come on, Dad. Let's see. See if I'm lying. So his father decided to take a few swings. And then all of a sudden he was like, whoosh, and he spin behind Dad. Think fast, Dad. Boom! His father got hit, fell to the floor, and then he got back up and tried to get him. Yeah, he was fighting against Gerald, but in the end, Gerald, with the door open, he kicked his father down the stairs. Oh! And Gerald humiliated his father for being careless and not careful over him. And he didn't even think about mourning for his mother. It's kind of like he feel like bad karma will have its ending. Everything negative must have its comeuppance. Be put in check. But afterwards, he walked straight to the DMV. He took his driver's test. One shot. He made it big, but first, he actually had to stay for two reasons. one, he took a test. Two, he ended up taking a picture because he passed the test. But number three, he had to take a car ride for a spin with an instructor. And let's just say that he knew so well about what to do and what not to do when you're on the road. You're not supposed to pass somebody without turning on the turn signals. You're supposed to look to your left and your right and watch out for coming cars. So that way you don't get hit. And even watch out for the lights. And the driving instructor was like very pleased with what's going on with Gerald, that he had nothing to say. He just write down like checks. And he passed. A perfect day for him, for Gerald to get a car. Get a car license and pass. And finally, when he came home, after beating his father up, he's just smiling. Well, Dad, how's it going? He wanted to say F you, but instead he didn't. I'm starting to think that you're growing up to be a man. I feel like your friend Lester really taught you well, more than I did. And because of that, let's just say that in senior year, things got better for Gerald, although he had to deal with the worst things. And when the worst things came, he got through it. Like back then, he used to sing Lil C's, "You don't want to play around. You know what? I'll crush you." When he gets mad, he's like, "I'll kill you." But he's like, thanks to Lester, he started to learn how to fight back and overcome his guilt. He overcame his guilt in junior year, but now senior year is on the rise. Heck, he even got himself a job, a car now. He worked his way up and he got a 1986 Cadillac DeVille, a box caddy. And while he was celebrating the fact that he got a job and a car, he ended up proving that he's getting better and better, less guilty and more focused based on his enemies and all that. But one random day, while he was getting ready to go to school, it happened. He was at the stoplight, minding his business, just waiting. And all of a sudden, 3 guys one tapped on his window. He pulled it down. Gerald said, "Can I help you?" "Help yourself, Negro." "Hey, get out the motherfucking car." That like cursing at him. "Get out the car." And he in broad daylight, early in the morning, heading to school, and they drove off. "Nice ride, snitch." But then he realized, oh my gosh, that's one of the gangs. I gotta call police. Beep, beep, beep. And he called the police. Gerald knew he had to think fast, because when his Cadillac got jacked, it made me think of that music video. "Can I get with some yams? Sweet yams." It made me think of that Yams music video. And when a guy got one person, like, carjacked him and stole the box caddy. Why does everybody have to do that? So the police who actually put Ron in jail, that was the biggest surprise he ever spotted. Gerald, he knew about them, all because of Lester. And because of Lester knowing the three guys, that was one of the goons that fought with another group of goons, killed Aunt Cheryl, killed his mom, and now jacked his car. And the corrupt cops that put Ron in jail, they ended up responding to it. Oh, wait a minute. Have I seen you before? Yes, you brought me home when my Aunt Cheryl was killed, and you blamed it on Ron when Ron. Oh my gosh. What just happened? And one of them remembered it because he remembered the face. He grew up, and that same cop, one of the cops that took him home and told the parents what went down, he was spotted to see that he was bleeding because he got punched. Well, who did this to you? One of the three goons there were three goons, and I think they said, get out the mother effing car, da 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 da, and they drove off with my caddy. And I was just only going to school. Do you remember the description of your caddy? It's 1986. A Cadillac DeVille. And what color was it? It's black. And what was the license plate? Oh, I know. 989 FTP. As in, fight the power. We got to fight the powers that be. And let's just say that that one individual spotted the box caddy, and it was a police officer, and they were actually at the school building. They got pulled over at Gerald's school, and the police one of the corrupt police officers, he knew that because of the school security spotted the car. They knew that they had it coming. One of the goons had it coming, but all those three goons that were responsible, they were responsible for starting the fight with another group of three men that ended up in a murder. They were all found the targets, the suspects of Aunt Cheryl's murder. While the other gang was responsible, well, they found them later on that day, and the cop actually wanted to apologize for the incidents that went down a couple years ago, and let them know that Uncle Ron has been officially let go because thanks to Lester, his friend Lester, things started to cool off. It all made sense. So Gerald went to school. Everybody was shocked, but the principal wanted to test his patience. You know what? I had enough, principal. Last year, you suspended me for a month. You made my life a living nightmare as if I'm black. Well, I am black. My parents treated me like garbage. But this time, things changed. All because of Lester Holmes, and now you want to test my patience. Well, guess what? Game over. Hey, you come back. No! I'm done being your fool. So he owned the principal. Walk out the door as if Gerald was causing trouble again. And of course, it's kind of like the so-called memes that you see on the internet where you hear the oh, oh, and the air horn beep, 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 beep. And of course, the MLG meme with Snoop Dogg, like the next episode is playing. La da 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 da. It's the one and only D-O-double-G, Snoop Dogg. La da 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 da. Thug life. All that. Even with the weed in the mouth, even though it's just a crop of weed. Gerald had enough. He put the principal in check, just like he did the bullies. One of the goons were responsible for killing Aunt Cheryl and jacking his car. They got arrested. And because of that, they were sentenced to they all served life. Because they had an infamous record based on their past transgressions. And the other 3 goons, they were found chilling in a drive-in, and they about to start trouble with another group of guys after they found out that their rivals got arrested, and they were responsible for Gerald's mom's murder. And Gerald's father got close to Gerald, and he was surprised to hear the news. And the goons that fought against each other, they were both arrested. But they saw the news about the other gang responsible for killing Gerald's mom. 2 opposite fools. 3 versus 3. Both crews arrested for causing ruckus, getting Gerald's family members murdered, and one had to be accused for the murder, to the fact that they are free now, that he's free over a misunderstanding. And in senior year, as a surprise, graduation night. Well, prom first. Prom, he had a couple girls riding with him like he was a pimp, a player, in his prom, in his box caddy. And in graduation night, he actually did a speech. And he ended up as a valedictorian. His father was there. His Uncle Ron was there. And yes, not only that, after the caps were thrown in the air, he said, "Mom, Aunt Cheryl, I did it." Because he realized that the more guilty he felt, the more hard his life was going to be. To the fact that he ended up getting a scholarship. And he ended up going to a college, University of, I don't know what they call, I don't know any colleges in Arizona, but let's just say that he actually ended up getting a scholarship with Auburn University. Auburn. Auburn. He spent most of his life trying to overcome his fear from now on, since junior year. And if it wasn't for Lester, he would have made it this far. And dig this, Lester Holmes was a Salutarian. So, Lester was the yin to Gerald's yang. They were close together. Salt and pepper. opposite races, but they were smart. They made it big. They were cool. And Lester, he had to go to, oh, here we go again. Lester went to the University of Alabama. And they made it worthwhile. College made it better. But unfortunately for Gerald's father, he ended up getting caught up in some shenanigans. The fact that the police actually stood by his side and put the fighting individuals to shame. Despite some of the fighters, they were about to kill him behind their back, and the police fired at them and they ended up dead. Don't mess with the police. Don't mess with Gerald's father. Gerald finally found a way to make peace with two gangs, but one of them decided not to go for it. Because Gerald's father, felt guilty for not being there for Gerald and being too hostile over tough love. Trying to help Gerald grow up, but he's doing it in the worst way. So he overcame his fear too, thanks to a wake-up call after getting his butt kicked by his son Gerald. And both Gerald and his father made peace with each other. They finally see things eye to eye. And Uncle Ron, he ended up going to college, following Gerald's footsteps, trying to make Cheryl proud of him. You know, it's a family thing. A family that hurts together have to find a way to step up, step out in the open, let the world see the real them. And that's how it goes. Because if you're dealing with guilt, you have to know when to get a wake up call in mind. It's like I said, it comes from your family. It starts with the family. You gotta know when to speak out. I gotta do that myself. Overcome my fears, overcome my guilt every time I turn around. Because if you don't overcome your guilt, you're going to end up dead or locked up or humiliated on a daily basis, to the fact that you will end up becoming something that you're not. To heck with guilt. That's all I'm saying. Be like Gerald. And at the end, you ought to thank God for seeing things clearly. Because the more guilt you carry, the more harder and heavier the weight is for you to lift off your shoulders. Because it can break your back. It could give you a crook in your neck. Like, ugh. Just like that. And with all that being said, that is episode 13 of Cold Man's Winter Season 4, Guilt. And for those that wondering about, well, let's just say a few episodes ago, before the infamous betrayal, the episode 6, Weaknesses, well, I realized that I talked about weaknesses once before, back in the last season, but then episode 6 of this season, I talked about weaknesses again, but in a different story. So I decided to rename episode 6 to Weaknesses 2, as in the sequel. A lot of weaknesses are building up, but we gotta do better. As well as dealing with guilt, we gotta do a better job overcoming our guilt. So with all that being said, if you like what you see, like what you hear, feel free to do these things. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the notification and there will be more in stores. And the link to the last episode will be in the description bar down below. And what's the point of ending this episode of Cold Man's Winter with, you guessed it, Sweet Lady of the Week? And this time, this special female that I give recognition to is none other than Zamaria Moore from Walmart. She's one of the hardest working, youngest Walmart employees that I've worked with. And to Zamaria, if you've seen this, I ain't forgot about you. And with all that being said, this is yours truly, Taylor Jones, signing out. Stay tuned for more Cold Man's Winter coming your way.